Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So, in this episode I'll be discussing the 2011 action comedy movie The Green Hornet, as directed by Michael Gondry and as based on the characters created in the 1930s by George Trendle and Frank Stryker as kind of part of a radio broadcast, I believe. But from those humble beginnings, the characters have gone on to feature in numerous comics and other film and kind of TV serials, before, of course, being given the motion picture treatment in 2011 here. Now, I know nothing, and still know nothing, of the source material from which this film comes. And so on that, I can't really offer any opinion or comparison to it, really. I took the movie on its own accord, as I usually do. If, of course, anybody does have an opinion here and can shed some light on whether or not the film is actually a good adaptation or not, please do feel free to let us know in the comments below. I would absolutely love to know. But, cracking on, the movie introduces us to Reid, as played by Seth Rogen, a rich playboy layabout, a complete tool, an imbecile. Basically, he's living his life, lazing around, partying, being with a string of women, and not really having much respect for himself or others, all while basically sponging off his dad, James Reid, as played by Tom Wilkinson, who runs the Daily Sentinel, one of the last independent newspapers in Los Angeles. James Reid, he has little time for his son's antics, basically having built up his reputation on honesty and integrity, and he has basically struggled to raise his son since the death of his wife when Britt was young, basically coming across as a harsh and unyielding man. Further tragedy strikes, however, when Britt's father is killed from an alleged reaction to a bee sting, and the future of his father's empire now rests on his shoulders. Wanting to let off a bit of steam, Britt seeks a night of madness and convinces his dad's mechanic, Kato, as played by Chou, to go along. What then basically starts off as a night of mischief quickly sparks an idea to become vigilantes after they successfully ward off some would-be criminals. So then starts their adventure, utilising a number of new and quirky gadgets and their trusty Oldsmobile, named the Black Beauty. Yep, I was going to say Black Swan, but that ain't right. The Black Beauty, an amazing gadget-laden supercar, all made possible by Kato's spectacular engineering skills. He is literally a technical genius, which basically sees them becoming outlaws themselves, with Britt taking on the alter ego persona of the Green Hornet, in an attempt to bring down some of the seediest crime elements in the city. They soon start to come to the attention of the local crime boss, Benjamin Chudnovsky, as played by Christoph Waltz, who makes it a mission to see the Green Hornet duo removed from existence. So, as a comic book movie, or comic book style movie, this is actually a pretty good film. And it's pretty good fun, and with a great adventure to watch out play on screen. It's perhaps a little underrated, I do feel. So, okay, it has its faults. I certainly picked up on a few of them as I was watching it again for this review. But you know what? For a superhero-style movie, produced at the time when Marvel's own engines were kind of revving up and getting into full swing, it actually made quite a refreshing change to have something to kind of mix the genre up. It was good. I really did enjoy it. Character-wise, this movie is a little bit of a mixed bag. And by this I mean that we have a series of fairly decent characters that seem to work well in a number of scenes, but kind of fail in others. Mostly on a collective level. You know, when you get more than two of them on screen together, kind of goes a bit wrong. The dialogue can then kind of sometimes be a bit lacking and does feel a bit stiff and forced at times. I don't know why. Now, for me, I would say that Seth Rogen's style of comedy is an acquired taste that I haven't yet quite acquired. I do find it quite hard to digest, but I would say that this film is probably one of his most accessible. I do actually enjoy him in this. Even if I don't think his style 100% works in the movie, nor do I think he was probably the best actor to play the role opposite Chou. but it's still good. It's still a fun role to see. The thing is that you never really feel a bond kind of develop between the two characters. Chou always kind of looks like he's looking at something else in the room, and Rogan kind of seems like he is somewhere else in the room. And in this, you never really feel committed to their relationship, even when things turn south. I think if they had kind of been stronger, then overall the film would have been able to feed off this much more than it actually did. But I did certainly enjoy the playful tone of the movie, and that particular dynamic between the two characters did actually work well. I think it was the right move for it to be played in a comedic style, and it wasn't too slapstick. And so in this, I think Chou and Rogan, they did a decent enough job with what they had, all being told. One thing I don't think there was enough made of really was kind of Britt's father. Inference is made that he was kind of moonlighting, I think, as a potential vigilante himself. But nothing was ever confirmed or built up in the film, as far as I'm aware, which I thought was a shame. It may have been a stronger link to have Britt find out that he had more in common with his dad than he actually thought. You know, his dad had Kato develop some basic gadgetry for his cars, but to what end? It's never explained. There are also some awkward scenes when our hapless duo meet Lenore Case, as played by Cameron Diaz, for the first time, who unbeknowingly actually becomes the mastermind of their operation. The scenes are a little overacted in my opinion, and a bit condescending. But I would say that Diaz does hold her own throughout the movie in another fairly enjoyable role, which does actually get better as her character gets more involved, particularly towards the end of the film. Kind of teasing perhaps more involvement in any potential sequel, which kind of may have served to better develop the characters further, perhaps. One character I thought was actually done well was the villain, Benjamin Chudnovsky, aka Bludnovsky, Christoph Waltz. He played the role very well, adding a dark, macabre, comic element to the character. One thing Waltz does seem to do very well, is play a good bad guy. Everybody's kind of ragging on his style as a crime boss, from his name right down through to his clothes, which is brilliantly set up at the beginning of the movie in an intro scene featuring James Franco, uncredited, I think. And over the course of the movie, we see his kind of paranoia turn him into an ever more ludicrous villain. If there was one downside, I thought here that the Green Hornet and Chudnovsky, they don't get nearly enough screen time together. It would have been real fun to see their characters kind of play off each other a lot more than what they did. Action-wise, this film is a very fun movie with some excellently choreographed fight and chase scenes, some of which are awesome. Again, done in a very light style, which plays to the film's comedic approach, with some very decent special effects, all told. There are a few moments that obviously play to viewing this film in 3D, which do kind of seem a bit superfluous to the movie overall, but nonetheless, they are popcorn pleasing if you do happen to be watching the film in 3D. If you can catch the end credits in 3D, they're amazing. There is even a Pink Panther-esque, if you like, fight scene between Britt and Kato as rivalry between them starts to develop between the two. Kind of fueled by their jealousy of the other with regards to a non-existent relationship with Lenore. I can't say that it was intended in this way, I don't know, or not, but in a number of the Pink Panther movies, a character called Kato, I think spelt differently, as played by Bert Kwok, would surprise Inspector Clouseau, as often played by Peter Sellers, in a number of unique ways, resulting in hilarious fight sequences involving various props and humorous choreography, very much similar to that kind of depicted in this movie. It is one of the film's highlights for me. The film does actually examine the roles and dynamics of the perceived hero and their sidekick very well. Rogan's character believes that he is the Green Hornet, and his arrogance nearly costs him his newfound friendship with Kato. Indeed, it is Kato that basically underpins the team and saves the day on more than one occasion. Without him and his off-the-chart skills, there would be no Black Beauty, no gadgets, and no Green Hornet. He even comes up with the name. But let's face it, the real show stealer in this movie has to be the car, the Black Beauty, in its varying guises. It just looks so impressive and menacing with its sleek black bodywork and eerie green glow. And it puts up a fight along with the duo with its cool weaponry right to the bitter end. To be honest, there just simply is not enough screen time for this magnificent creation, and not nearly enough screen time for us to delve into all of its secrets, with a few cool new gadgets sort of held back for any potential sequel, I think. Finally, to finish, just to note the soundtrack. This too is fairly decent, with a mixture of original composition by James Newton Howard and a number of contemporary songs, not least Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, which all help to kind of amp up the action and bring these scenes to life. So, overall, whilst perhaps not being the greatest hero film ever made, I think it is certainly underrated. It's very watchable and extremely great fun. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it's a blast and highly entertaining. This is one I do wholeheartedly recommend. It is actually a shame that we haven't got, and indeed most likely won't get, a sequel, as I feel there were more adventures to be had. And by the end of the film, you did get the feeling that the characters would actually be all the stronger for it. Well, never mind. I think they might be doing a reboot, so that'll be interesting, but I doubt very much that any of the original cast would return, so it will be yet another start to the story. But anywho, I don't know much about that. It was just something I kind of flipped across as I was looking at stuff. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this episode, I think. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button. Obviously for more movie reviews, more trailer reactions, and other movie-related episodes. Most of all, though, we've loved having you. Thank you for watching. Please do return. We'd love to have you back. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.